who are in the center of the political spectrum are going to be more outspoken in demanding that politicians come together away from these polar extremes.
I have Senator Cohen, Governor Whitman, and also Senator Brock wish to comment on this. Senator Cohen?
I'd like to comment on Senator Danforth's voice, because when we were in the Senate, we always referred to it not only as the voice of reason, but the voice of God. This has not been planned. I didn't know that I'd be sitting next to Senator Danforth, but let me read a statement that has been in my mind for some time. We fritter away our lives hustling between committee hearings, filing bills to keep our names in the paper. We have some fundamental choices to make. Do we believe in a growth society, and if so, how do we reconcile it with environmental concerns? Are we willing to fight for anything, and if so, where? Fundamental. Do we want to continue to run trade deficits? If not, are we willing to adopt policies necessary to change the present decline? Unless we're willing to raise these questions and do something about them, then we'll witness the decline and fall of our nation. Those could be the words from Chuck Hagel, Senator Hart, anyone on this panel. They were, in fact, uttered by Jack Danforth, March 21, 1979. Nearly 30 years ago, this man sat in a room, and I made notes. And it was a powerful statement. And he and others like him have been raising these issues for some time. And so when we ask ourselves, why are we here? Why us? Why now? It's because all of those who are here on this podium have been through the process. We've seen that the system can work and why it's not working. And that's why we're here today, to make a difference, to help stimulate, not to be here as a promoter for anybody's candidacy or any party, but to serve as catalysts for starting a deeper, more profound dialogue on what it takes to make this government of ours work. That's why we're here.
Thank you, Senator Cohen. Thank you very much. I'm very alarmed to learn that Senator Cohen, when we were in rooms together, was taking notes on the things that all of us said, but I'm relieved that he quoted the eloquent words of Senator Danforth. Governor Whitman.
Well, I want to add to what's been said by saying we are also, I hope, going to be able to act as a catalyst to Americans to help them understand that it's up to us as individuals, as voters, to take back this system. Those who have allowed the parties to respond almost exclusively to the extremes have done so because they haven't participated. When you have an average voter turnout in primaries of 10%, you're ceding the ground. And the wonderful thing about our democracy is that we are the ones who can make the difference. And we hope that by being here together as people who have served our state and our countries and our localities, and we've done it in a bipartisan way, we can be partisan, but we also understand that we can reach across the political aisle in order to do good public policy. That's what the American people should be demanding, and we need to send that message very clearly. This is the window of opportunity to do it, and we, as the American people, need to be heard. We cannot be silent any longer on these issues.
Thank you, Governor Whitman. Senator Brock wished to comment.
Yeah, it may be strange to defend the two parties in a country where a plurality of us now call ourselves independent. But the truth is that a political party is the bridge between most of us and our government. It's the access point, and it is an important instrument for us as citizens. And what's happened in the last 15, 20 years particularly is we've seen an erosion in our parties as we create these new instruments of big money, 527s, 523s, unaccountable funds coming from people at either end of the extremes. And I find that really, really dangerous. So I don't think I want to put the burden on the parties. I do think, as Christy said, I'd like to put it on us as individuals and on the need to restore the parties to their role of being that bridge. You can't do that if the parties have an unholy and unspoken alliance between the two of them to carve up the congressional districts. You get all the Democrats, I get all the Republicans, and we don't have to campaign with the other party or even our own moderates, because the people who turn out in our primaries are people on these single issues fringes. What we have learned, I think those of us who are up here, is that we can do better by working together. We can be partisan. There's something respectable about that. We're supposed to represent a view, a consensus of those who compose our party. But we've found that we can serve our party best by putting our nation first, and we don't see enough of that in the Congress today. That's what troubles me.
Thank you very much, Senator Brock. And Dr. Absher wanted to comment on this question as well.
Well, Bill Brock got my line because he's from Chattanooga, Tennessee, too. And let me say that I think because the nation is at a turning point, this nation is at risk. I've been around Washington for 50 years, and I've never been at a time we've lost our strategic freedom of action, our budgetary freedom of action, our financial freedom of action, our standing in the world simultaneous. And when I studied strategy before I went to West Point, if you lose your unity of effort and your freedom of action, you're going to suffer defeat. And I think because of the seriousness of the situation, that the people, not just in the center, but even on the right and the left, that want to put their country first. I fought in Korea. Chuck Hagel fought in Vietnam. We fought for our country and not for our party. And that's why I think we'll see a new movement in this time of crisis of putting the country first and not the party first, as important as the two parties are to us.
Thank you, Dr. Absher. I think what all of you have heard is a challenge. 17 people sitting here cannot cause things to change. It's going to take all of us. This is really an appeal to the American people. And it's an appeal to the media as well. We must ask the candidates very specific and detailed questions and not let them get by saying, oh, yes, I'm for bipartisanship. We really don't expect very many people to come out against it. But if you listen to our statement, you heard us ask for specifics. What are your strategies for getting us to bipartisan consensus? Will you appoint a truly bipartisan cabinet? Qualified people without regard to party, and not just a token or two, but people to the really key positions in our government who represent different points of view and different political parties. Will you really do that? Will you set up working groups? And will the President of the United States sit with the congressional leaders of both parties and members of his own cabinet, and all of them join together to work on its important issues like national security? We need your help. When people go to town meetings, when they write letters, when they address the candidates, these questions must be put by all of the American people, and these questions that matter to our future must be put by the American media to the candidates, and we cannot accept generalized answers that don't provide us with specific details. That's what we're saying today. Another question. Yes, could you state your, let's see, we'll find you with a microphone. State your name and your news organization.
Yes, my name is Dan Ronan. I'm with CBS today. This question is directed to Mayor Bloomberg. And Mayor, you lived through the events of September 11th in your city. And in that period of time, for 6, 8, 10 months, there was this period where the country came together and politicians were working together, it seemed, for the good of the country. What changed in that period? And in the pretext, if you were to decide to run for a higher office, let's say, how would you change that?
Well, look, I'm not a candidate, number one. I am a former businessman and a mayor, and I can